So today we're going to be discussing bulk wine, of course, and bulk spirits, but specifically as it relates to bottling, custom processing, and bulk purchasing in our current market and climate that we're in right now. So here on the panel, we're a variety of B2B suppliers, producers, and bottlers. So we have a couple different perspectives here. And we're all faced with kind of the same challenges, I think, as we're all very familiar with right now, navigating the current slightly choppy waters that we're in right now. But nevertheless, we're here to come together as an industry to try and solve some of these problems and stabilize where we're at, see what leverage we have in the bottling world and custom processing, how we can serve our customers best, and again, what are bulk buyers looking for when it comes to the world of custom bottling, private label, and all things like that. And so the ultimate question here is, how are bottlers, producers, and buyers connecting to meet the needs of the industry, of the market, of consumer demand, while avoiding, as best as we can, some of the challenges that we're facing in these difficult times, and also capitalizing on some of the opportunities that we're presented with where we may find them. So a little introduction for me. My name's Noelle Schaff. I work for O'Neill Vintners and Distillers. I have a background in winemaking, production winemaking specifically, working in custom crush, custom bottling, private label winemaking. I've been at O'Neill for about 1.5 years doing B2B sales. So really working on the customer side, building relationships, selling bulk wine and spirits. And it's been great. O'Neill's a great company to work for. We really focus on sustainability. We're a certified B Corp, so we're utilizing that as some leverage right now in the market to differentiate ourselves for what customers are looking for in the sustainable world. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay,
Kathy?
I'm Kathy Ferentz, and I'm a senior manager of bulk wine for Constellation. I've been working with bulk wine for about 35 years now, starting with Turrentine, and at KJ and Behringer, which is Treasury, and then now Constellation for 4 years. So it's an interesting market. It's very dynamic, and right now it's a situation where there's a lot of supply out there. But anyhow, Constellation, good company to work for. Really like it, good people, and liked all the other ones too. So, but bulk wine is my forte.
Manveer Sandhu, a director of winemaking at Rack & Riddle. Going into my 14th harvest this year with Rack & Riddle. We're the largest custom sparkling wine producer in the country, and started about 18 years ago, and with a focus on traditional method sparkling wine and offering that as a customer service. But we're also producing several million cases of still wine production. Over the last 2 years, we have expanded our focus to all things sparkling wine. So we're doing canning now too, Charmat bottling. Obviously, still wine production is still pretty big, and inline carbonation, and flavored beverages too. So expanded our scope to really give more options to our clients and consumers, and hopefully through this wave continue to grow and offer more opportunities as the beverage industry expands.
So dovetailing off of something that Todd Azevedo said in the earlier talk this morning, the biggest risk right now to the industry is irrelevance. So let's talk about trends for now. What do you see as current trends right now in finished goods? Of course, we're bulk suppliers and bulk buyers, but our end consumer is the one drinking the wine. So as a bottler, what are you seeing as the current trends that seem to be stable right now, and it's a little different from the last couple years or pre-COVID?
Trends, I mean, consumers are becoming a little bit more educated and wise to what they're putting in their bodies. So I think a big shift that we're seeing growth in would be the no low alc industry, and consumers looking for beverages they can consume every day without ingesting alcohol, having the effects of that. But in addition to that, to have social settings where they can actually drink something that they would normally only enjoy on the weekends. Ready-to-drink products are definitely growing exponentially, and there's a lot of variety out there. Sky's the limit, really, on what you can put together for a ready-to-drink format. And I would also say consumer focus on practices within vineyards and within wineries. So sustainable, organic, low additive, no additive, low SO2 wines. Definitely pretty trendy right now. But I don't expect that trend to die down. I just feel that it's just going to be another layer to the beverage business. Although we'll see some dilution in wine, there's a lot of opportunities for wineries to capitalize on those other markets.
I spoke with our new product development team, and they said the RTDs are stable, that they allow for impulse purchases, as most people here know, ready to drink, no need to decant or have special glasses or need a corkscrew. A stable emerging trend is wine paired with non-European food, such as sweet or white to go with spicy fish-based Asian foods. Lightweight packaging, such as lightweight glass, or using materials lighter than glass is a trend that will become the norm. The younger generation understands that shipping heavy materials is not good for the environment. Organic, no additives, et cetera, are valued not only for the personal health benefits, but also for the seemingly environmental benefits.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of important points to what you both said. I think going back to the low alcohol and RTDs, what I see at O'Neill and for what our buyers are looking for, it really comes down to quality. So everybody's searching for those low alcohol, organic, sustainable varieties. But we really have to be adamant about quality, because as I'm sure we've all had some RTDs that maybe had some off aromas or some off flavors, some low alcohol wines that maybe didn't taste quite up to the par of what wine should be. So it seems like the focus as bulk suppliers on our end is really to maintain that quality. We're not just going to dive deep into the trendy world and sacrifice that. And consumers are smart enough to distinguish what's going to last and what's not. So we see a lot of turnover with these RTD brands and some producers dipping their toe into the water of low alcohol, but we really have to focus on quality. I think as an industry, domestically, we're a little bit behind in the quality low alcohol space, and so I think we have a battle to fight here with some quality, like you said, starting in the vineyard and really managing vineyard quality for some of those quality wines. And to your note on packaging, Kathy, I think that's an important note. Younger generations seem to be a little bit more aware of packaging choices, recyclability, and what's convenient to carry around to the beach or the park. But as a whole, I think we're a little bit behind domestically from where the export market is at with lightweight glass, PET bottles, bag and box. So do you see that as an emerging trend that maybe we Americans can jump onto, or do you think that that's a little beyond our reach at this point in time?
I think it's not beyond our reach. I think that's what we're working towards. Mm-hmm. And you'd know from the bottling, that
we are already seeing that, and kind of in the middle of it right now. We're starting to see a lot of interest in just lightweight glass for sparkling. Obviously, sparkling glass is probably on the heavier side compared to most other glass for still wines. So, some of our glass partners are offering molds with a lower weight content. Certainly, some of the imports that we're bringing in from Europe are starting to understand the benefits as well of shipping more lightweight glass, not only as far as the freight side, but the socially conscious generation we have now will be looking at that. We'll be looking at a story behind a brand and what environmental impact a brand would have, and lightweight glass is definitely a part of that. Aluminum in the can, obviously, it's a lot less weight. It's a little bit more portable, and it's recyclable just like glass. So definitely think there's more road to go down, but we're on the right path. And right there with Europe too. I think the world is a lot smaller now than it used to be, and the flow of information and technology is a lot more available to us here in the U.S. Much like how things were, going back 40, 50 years in the wine industry, where we were trying to sell wines and the infancy of that journey. We are relatively in that infancy stage on RTDs and other programs, but as we get more people interested in drinking those wines and more wineries producing them, I think just naturally quality and competition will create better products. It all starts with a base wine. So we have to make good base wine to begin with, and having clean base wines, trending just overall at lower alcohol content. You can follow that through to a finished wine that is also going to have the same quality.
So to that point on the finished goods side, let's say canning or lightweight glass, do you see any evolution in the varietals or AVA designations that buyers or your clients are looking for? Is there a shift in the standard varietals, maybe moving away from our traditional California Cabernet into other unique varietals or AVAs, given the packaging changes that we're seeing with canning and aluminum bottles and such?
On the varietal side, I mean, I haven't seen really a shift at this point. You know, just based off of some of the programs out there for RTDs, you're going to gravitate towards potentially a base that's a little more neutral, that you can, you know, work as part of your formulation or part of your blend. But I don't really suspect a big shift in varietals because there's recognition to wine varietals for the consumer. So until we get to a point where we're completely moving away from that and just focused on a bigger market share for formula-based wines and RTDs, I think varietal will still have a pretty strong hold in what wine drinkers are recognizing out there on the shelf.
There does seem to be more of an interest in white wines now than red, and globally there's more oversupply in red wines than white, but an interest in white wines like Pinot Gris. I know red Zin doesn't seem to be kind of coming down in demand right now. And then the companies going towards premiumization as far as bulk wines and appellations, that coastal is kind of more in demand now than the southern interior. So.
Yeah, and I think what I'm seeing at O'Neill, some of the varieties have been changing, like you said, some of the more neutral whites as a base for RTDs, let's say. But stylistically, there's some differences. We're pulling back a little bit on the oak extraction. If we're going to be putting, let's say, a red wine in a can or de-alking a red wine, oak is really not your friend. So I think we're moving towards some stylistic changes in production, maybe across the same standard varietals, but a little bit of a different quality, of course, the alcohol content and their lab analysis. But from what we see, it's a little bit less touches, kind of like you said, consumers want. Less additives, less touch, more natural state of wine. Do you see that too, Kathy? Do you have any buyers looking for?
Well, what you're saying makes sense, definitely, you know, kind of not so the oaky and all that, so.
Yeah, so there's some shifts happening. And to your point about AVA, do you think that the quality that everybody's looking for, right, prices are low. We're at record low prices, as everybody knows. You can buy Napa Sonoma Cab for $20, $25 a gallon right now. Are people looking for that quality at the low price, or is it the AVA designation on the label that you guys are seeing matters?
I think price point, especially when we get into ultimate beverages outside of wine, I think price point is a very important part of that process. Obviously, we're looking for wine quality, so we want a wine that's clean and has good quality. But price point is really going to be a decision maker on what your final price for a can of an RTD would be. So for that reason, I think the California AVA is probably going to see the biggest growth in demand for like a white wine base in using that type of product. Prices overall for this vintage are going to be very attractive for wineries and for people that are looking to start their own program. Especially if you're able to lock down a 2-3+ year deal at these prices, going to affect the bottom line. And a lot of the wine out there on the bulk market is of pretty good quality too. So it's really an attractive time to either start a new program or to look at pricing structure and offer a more competitive rate for retailers if you continue to be more competitive.
Yeah, and Noel's point about the Napa Cab, I mean, was it 2 years ago, maybe $50 to $60 a gallon, and now kind of down around the 20 to 30. And vintage 23 was about 3.5 million gallons more than the prior vintage, the production of it. And so, you'll sell Napa Cab in truckload quantities and so forth. It's not like someone's going to come and buy 500,000 gallons or anything. So there's a lot of inventory out there and very high with the Napa Cab, which obviously is bringing the price down. So.
And would you say your buyers right now are really looking for those low-cost deals to sort of take advantage of the market where we're at now, or are they looking for stable, long-term programs?
Well, some larger companies, they do want sustainable, that will be there so that they are paying more towards the market or upper market. But no, there's just... it's difficult right now to sell wine. People are looking for that discounted price, that they're interested in red wines, but they want the coastal wines at California pricing or lower. So-and-so's looking for some wine, they'll pay $2 a gallon or $1.50, and you have cost into your wine, so you're going to take a loss in certain situations, but you have to be careful on that end of it. So yes, people are looking definitely for discounts.
Do you think on the buyer's side they're aware that this may not last forever? Are they looking for these 1 to 2 year deals, and then how are they going to sustain their programs?
Yeah, well, it's negotiations come big into it now when we have a large supply. But I mean, it's agriculture, so it's going to go up, ebb and flow, and I think everyone is aware of that. But they'll probably gobble up what they can, if they can afford it and if they can have a place to keep it, if they get a really inexpensive price.
How about for your customers? Are you seeing people that seem to have like a flash in the pan, one-off sort of RTD at the market rate price now, or are they looking for a sustainable program that can last in the market?
I think the ultimate goal is for a sustainable program. With the prices where they're at right now, if you are able to lock in a 2-3 year deal at a lower rate, knowing after that the price of grapes might go up, I still think it's very important to look at the short-term goals here. If you can get market share now in the next 2-3 years, you can evaluate pricing and potentially absorb some pricing costs as you move past these years of low cost. It's really important right now in this relatively new part of the beverage industry is to get market share and to get your product out there in the market, get consumers to be excited about it, get retailers to stock it, and then at some point the sales will drive the future growth of the product. So we're being pretty aggressive on the bulk wine side and especially the grape side. If you have the capacity, I would recommend doing that as well, especially if you're looking not only short term but longevity of your program. If you're looking to start a new program, it's having success at the launch will determine your success in the future. So being aggressive on pricing and quality will certainly set you up for the future.
And how about these other preferences that you touched on earlier? Sustainability, organics, maybe vegan friendly. Are you seeing that translate into your bottling clients, and for you, Kathy, and your bulk clients? Do you see people looking for that more and more?
Not necessarily when you're purchasing on the bulk market. I mean, we have the capability to de-alc, a bulk wine. So we thought, maybe because of the growing interest in that area that we offer that and we can get some interest. But I don't see it so much in, definitely sustainability, yes. But the low alc, not necessarily. But the sustainability, you're getting more and more people, wanting the background and seeing if you are certified sustainable when they're buying bulk, and that's going to grow. That's going to continue.
And do you think that affects price, on either side, that people are willing to pay a little bit more for certification, or alternatively pay less for something that's not certified?
Not necessarily, but it does get them as a buyer. I mean, if they're going to walk away because you're not, you've just lost a buyer. But I don't think it's really affecting price too much at this point.
And how about you on the custom processing?
Yeah, for us, we've been seeing a lot more inquiries recently. As I said, I think socially people are getting a little more conscious of the environment, waste. So sustainability, the call for sustainability has become louder and louder over the years. The lion's share of all the vineyards that we contract through are all sustainable, whether they're SIP or Lodi rules or fish friendly. I mean, it is definitely part of the story for brands that are starting out, programs that are starting out. They want a story, and that definitely can capture some audience. We've shifted a lot of our, at this point, all of our programs to vegan, and moved away from animal products, knowing the community that's going to be consuming our wines. We're looking at allergens as well, low sulfite wines. I think there's huge potential in the low and no alc. Rack and Riddle this year has partnered with Solos. It's a European company. We're going to have equipment from them at one of our sites that we expect to revolutionize the low and no alc sphere. by producing low alc wines with the same aroma and profile of the wines with alcohol. So there's a recovery system, aroma recovery system, part of that de-alc process that will infuse the flavors and aromas that are tied to those varietals back into those de-alkalized wines. And I think that's kind of one area in the industry where we could see a lot of improvement in quality. Wine drinkers are the ones that may go and pick up a low alc wine or no alc wine during the weekday. And I don't think right now the quality of those wines are where they could be. So it's deterring consumers from spending essentially the same price they would pay for an alkalized wine for a de-alc wine. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement there, and we're certainly going to try to work our way up to providing a quality no low alc wine that could match up against any wines with full alcohol.
Yeah, I was just going to clarify too that there is a growing demand for the low alc, no alc. I'm just saying in my day-to-day bulk transactions, I don't really see the demand coming in that someone's looking for the lower alc or wants us to de-alc for them. But Constellation has good lower alc programs, so it definitely is a growing trend.
Mm-hmm. And I think to your point, Manveer, consumers at this point, as we can tell so far, aren't willing to pay more for a low alc or non-alc wine. And oftentimes these products are more expensive because of the technology that goes in. It's a big cost burden on the producers and bottlers. So we'll see how that translates out. I mean, we're going to have to, as an industry, effectively communicate this to our end consumer that there is a price to pay for these low and no alc products at some point, and see if we can shift that market a little bit to a more premium space. As right now, as I see it, there's not a big entry level that meets the quality demand of the consumers for low and no alcohol. But hopefully with the technology, that can change.
We're really excited about it, especially on the sparkling side of things. Having a quality sparkling wine in that no low alc spirit. We already have a low alc on the traditional method side of things, but looking at both Charmat and inline carbonation for those same offerings, I think we're very excited about the technology, but we're excited about experimenting and trialing. I mean, kind of gets our juices flowing on the winemaking side of this all these new technologies and new tools that we can have at our disposal, and how we can push the industry, and the whole industry as a whole will come along with it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I mean, we've been pretty stable in the industry for the last few years. We obviously saw the big rise during COVID. We all loved that. Now we're at a little bit of the downturn. But there's some excitement here as far as there's new trials to be done, and these new spaces of low, no alcohol, organic, sustainable, even vegan friendly. I think there's some more work that we need to do in the winemaking side that is actually provides a big opportunity and some excitement. Looking at our winemaker over here, Justin, we're going to be doing some great stuff this harvest with some of our trials in low alc, and so there is opportunity. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there with the bulk market right now, but let's look at this as a positive, right? We as an industry can rise to the occasion and try to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, while maintaining our foothold in the traditional wine space. And to the vegan point, I haven't seen a lot of bulk buyers looking for vegan-friendly domestically. However, in the export market, almost across the board, they're looking for vegan-friendly wine. So I think we here in California really need to make that shift if we're going to stay relevant to the global market as a whole, and really just get on track with vegan, sustainable, and lightweight glass, to your point. And so you already touched a little bit on advancements in technology, but how is that impacting your ability to attract and retain customers? Do you think your technology at Rack & Riddle with the Solos is going to be attractive to new customers, or are you mainly speaking to your current customers? How are you approaching that?
I mean, we've looked at technology. Innovation has been really a big piece of the Rack & Riddle culture, and I think also part of our success. Having automation, robotics, that lends to more consistency in our product, increasing quality control is a really big factor, especially when we're producing at the level that we're producing with the amount of clients that we have. Quality control is probably one of the most important things that we focus on the bottling side of things. Packaging, wine and bottle, specifications for all those processes from grape through the finished wine. So the technology that's involved in not only vetting the packaging before it comes on site, but checking every single bottle as you go through the line. It's just a peace of mind for our clients and our consumers that once a product gets out there in the market, you're going to have consistency from one bottle to the others. I think that's the ultimate goal there, because once it leaves your line of sight, it's in the hands of distributors and retailers, and you want to make sure that that same wine 12 months from now is going to be sound. And I think technology and quality control and automation is part of that assurance for our clients and customers.
Yeah. Any technological advancements in Constellation?
Well, we're constantly working on that. Our new product development team and Woodbridge has a lot of the technology, and they keep bringing on new technology, their bottling and everything. So it's something we're constantly working on.
Lastly, my question is, what are important factors for both of you on maintaining and building relationships between bottlers, buyers, and the end consumer? What's important nowadays to keep your customers and grow them?
Relationship, communication, trust. My job is to, it's the relationships. It's ongoing, very long-term relationships, working with O'Neill, but it's communication, it's trust, and it's being there for it. It's not like a used car deal type situation, I started off with Bill Turrentine when I first started working, and Bill always said, it's win-win. It's, you're working to, work for, I know I work for Constellation, but I want the partners that I work for to trust me and to want to work with me going into the future.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of that building the trust is keeping an eye on the trends, the market, being able to work with our customers to help them navigate these waters right now too, and kind of be a guide for them, and that builds the trust that maintains those relationships. And how about you for your bottling clients?
I mean, I completely agree with everything that Kathy said. I mean, trust and partnership, communication, transparency, collaboration. Being the custom crush field, we're certainly here to offer our expertise in the sparkling wine sphere, but we have clients that are very well versed in their craft and some that need a little bit more help. So just that collaboration in working with our clients for their needs and having them part of that process. We certainly have an open door policy at Rack and Riddle that whatever we do, we're here to educate as well. Our success for us is ultimately at some point, if a client starts out from a base to bottle contract, that at some point they're going to be making all their decisions across each process over the years with us as they become confident. I know it can be a little scary terrain, even for a very versatile winemaker to go into sparkling. So part of us is the transparency in what we do and helping educate all of our winemakers and clients on each and every step of the process so that they feel comfortable with it. They can teach their team, they can train their tasting room staff on what they're doing. I mean, ultimately, education is what's going to get our consumers excited about the wines that we're selling.
Should we open it up for questions? Anybody have questions on B2B, bulk buying, purchasing, bottling? Yep.
Thank you. A question from Envir. You mentioned a whole lot of new products, it sounded like at the very beginning of your remarks, and I wonder if you could expound on some of those and talk about innovation, something the wine industry traditionally is not that great at. And it seems like there's a certain amount of inertia right now, but it seems like some of the innovation really is focused on anything that sparkles or different types of textures. So I'm wondering if you can talk about the new products that you see coming in. So
I mean, I would like to preface it that I think the regular still wine productions and varietals that we use are going to be, a core part of the wine industry for a very long time. I think as we go through a bit of a slowdown where we are right now, that we are looking at other opportunities and other avenues for the wines that we have, not only in house but other as we go into the new vintage too. So the no alcohol, low alcohol space is certainly one that would have, I think, the biggest growth potential, because we're working with varietals that are currently planted in the vineyards and available for wineries. but the ready-to-drink options, the flavored beverages, the juice, the grape juice beverages are definitely ones that there's a lot of opportunity, and there's so much variability that you can do, variation you can do with formulation, and no two products can be alike potentially. What we're seeing on our side is on the canning side, we're seeing huge growth, not only just with our traditional wine varietals in the can, but we're seeing formulated beverages at lower alcohol. We're seeing on our Charmat side, we're seeing the fun flavors, pomegranate, peach mango. We would taste on our booth. We have some red sangria. We have some pina colada. I think those are all options that will allow consumers that are either starting out in the alcohol beverage industry to get their foot in the door and get them exposed to alcohol, right? I remember growing up, in college, and not in high school, but in college, I didn't jump for a glass of Pinot Noir. I was looking at other beverages out there that would appeal to my taste profile. So we're looking for new drinkers. We know that traditional wine drinkers are going to drink wine, but with the later millennials, Gen Zs, there may be a different approach to beverages and alcohol. So looking at what, market research is a big part of it, seeing what would appeal to different audiences out there.
So when you say RTDs, just to clarify, are you talking about wine-based RTDs or other RTDs?
So I'm specifically talking about wine-based RTDs. Now there are spirit-based RTDs, and we've dabbled a little bit on that, but I think they can live in the same space. They can definitely live in the same space. You're looking at different base. Obviously, from Rack and Riddle standpoint, a lot of business that we're getting are wine-based. But as we get into dealcoholization and low alcohol wines, we're going to have a byproduct. We're getting a DSP, so I can obviously see us transition to some part in spirit-based RTDs as well.
And one of my colleagues who teaches college students, a sensory professor, was in Wine Business this week talking about her students really relating to sweet wine and not relating to more traditional styles of wine. And so her direction was going to be introducing them to sweet wines and then the dry wine cousin of each of those varietals. I'm wondering what you see happening with sweet wines, if anything.
I foresee sweet wines just as dry wines to be kind of forever part of the wine industry. There are certain markets across the country, and when we're looking at wine sales, we can't look at just California. It's a pretty big country, and when you're looking at the Midwest and the East Coast, certainly we see a larger volume of the sweeter wines being sold outside the state, and we have to cater to all those populations. It's for me, introductory to winemaking. I gravitated towards more of the sweet wines, but as I have become more versed in it and more accustomed to drinking on the weekends or with a meal, I'll pick what I'm drinking based off of the social setting I'm in, the meal I'm eating. So I think all those factors are part of it. I would say that dry wines and still wines and everything in between are kind of like the fabric of the wine industry, and I don't see that changing.
And I think there's an underlying theme here with all these products that you're referencing: formulated beverages, flavored products, sweet wines, RTDs. Customers and consumers are looking for natural ingredients. So we're talking about natural sweeteners, naturally sweet wines. We're not adding back a bunch of fake additives. And the RTDs also, a lot of our customers are looking for the wine base. It may not be a still wine base for an RTD, but something they can label on the can as wine, which may be a different type of spirit, like a fortified dry white or an other than standard wine that can be listed as an ingredient as wine, but it's a little bit different than a still wine. So I think the overarching theme here is that the trends we're seeing always go back to natural ingredients.
My question is, as suppliers, what are the best opportunities for buyers on the bulk market?
There's so many opportunities, Rachel. Depends on what you're looking for. Definitely if you're looking for price, the world is your oyster. I think Pinot Noir, Zinfandel, things, like in that world where we're super oversupplied, amazing quality out there. You can get the best Santa Lucia Highlands Pinot right now at ridiculously low prices. But I think also right now, at least as far as O'Neill's concerned, we have a lot of different offerings. So outside from the standard varietals, Cab Chard Pinot, we have some other low alc options, different varieties like Albarino, some orange and skin contact wines that I think maybe speak a little bit to the market right now. That may be opportunities as we're kind of going toward the trends as the market's driving it.
Napa Cab.
Napa Cab's a big opportunity. Yeah.
At the right quality.
And Sonoma Pinot. Yep. And some sparkling wine, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We're not a big player on the bulk wine market. We're really driving sparkling wine, which has continued to see growth. So we're pretty fortunate in that respect. That sparkling wine is still a very strong category and is still growing, and definitely seeing from a winery perspective, clients looking to add sparkling wine to their portfolio as an offering in a flight. But for pricing is definitely the driver. From a supply side of things, you can find excellent wine for amazing price right now. And I think it's a really good opportunity for buyers to forge good relationships with suppliers too, good faith relationships, so they could have continued success together.
In relation to private label, how is the supermarket, mass merchandiser, drug chain, how is that adding excitement to developing, expanding to the industry?
I would say excitement is in the spirit of healthy competition right now in the private label space. I think all of us are kind of going for the same opportunities in the private label world. So there's excitement there, meaning we're really upping the level of competition, upping our game as suppliers to really produce and come out with the best quality wines at those private label prices. So that's probably exciting, although a little nerve-wracking for us suppliers because we're really battling it out. But that really comes from the retailers' end too. We want to hear from them. What are they looking to bottle and push out to their customers? I think for me as a B2B seller at O'Neill is that we're looking for the retailers to bring us some new ideas. We're all familiar with Napa Cab, Sonoma Cab, California Cab, but we want to see something interesting that they're going to then push onto their end consumers. So I think retailers have a big part to play in driving the trends right now as well.
I think it goes back to relationships too. When there's high competition, it's your trusted relationships that, benefit you, long-term partnerships and so forth. So.
Yeah, but those aren't to be taken for granted either.
Mm-hmm.